Hello, welcome to the Transcendent. In this video, we'll learn the structure of HTML elements. Let's dive straight in. HTML appears like this. Here, P means paragraph. We create this HTML by beginning with a less than symbol, followed by the right letter or term or short term, and ending with a greater than symbol. That forms what's called a tag, an HTML tag. Essentially, all HTML code looks like this. The format itself is quite simple. The harder part is knowing which tags to use when. There are two types of tags, two varieties: opening tags and closing tags. This P is an opening tag. The closing tag is nearly identical, but includes a slash, less than symbol, a forward slash, the letter or term matching the tag we're closing, and a greater than symbol. To format a paragraph correctly, we place an opening tag at the start of the paragraph and a closing tag at the end, like this. The opening tag signals the start, the content sits in the middle, and the closing tag signals the end. These opening and closing tags always work together as pairs. The entire structure is called an element. Not every element needs a closing tag. We'll explore some of those later. But many HTML elements have both an opening and a closing tag. Here are a few examples. A paragraph is enclosed in P tags. A headline is enclosed in H1 tags. An article is enclosed in an article tag. We'll cover numerous HTML elements in this course, learning their specific uses. So don't stress about it now. Just grasp the basic structure for now. The markup expresses intent and significance. It gives computers a method to comprehend more about what the content or interface represents to humans. HTML creates a bridge of meaning between the human realm and the computer realm. Let's examine another example. Here we have a brief paragraph. This paragraph contains text that's highlighted for impact. The entire paragraph is enclosed in opening and closing P tags, and within the paragraph, we have a phrase that's highlighted, made into another element by enclosing it in opening and closing M tags. We'll clarify the M element later. Just observe how one HTML element can be nested within another. In fact, a complete HTML document is a collection of HTML elements all nested inside one another. If you studied computer science, you may notice that nesting elements like this forms a tree, a document tree. Or if you're not a tech enthusiast, then perhaps picture a family tree with parents, children, and siblings. The browser focuses on the structure of how HTML elements are nested, and it builds a large family tree showing who's connected to whom and how. Or, using precise technical terms, it constructs a DOM or DOM, Document Object Model, tree from the data framework. The DOM or DOM tree becomes relevant when you write CSS or JavaScript, or when your developers do. The browser then uses the DOM or DOM tree to form an accessibility tree. We'll discuss accessibility later. Your selection of HTML elements shapes the experience of users on your website, including those with a broad range of diverse disabilities. It all begins with nesting HTML elements. Here is a slightly more concrete example of how HTML is nested. We have a structured article on our webpage. We observe the opening tag for the article at the start, followed by a prominent headline, then 3 distinct paragraphs. The final paragraph includes a phrase of highlighted text for emphasis within it, and the entire structure is neatly sealed at the end with a closing article tag. Notice how this clear framework informs the browser that this article comprises one headline and 3 paragraphs in a specific order. Anything placed after the closing article tag will still appear on the same HTML page, but the browser will distinctly recognize it as content outside this article's boundaries. It follows the article in the page's layout. The placement of opening and closing HTML tags and how we nest elements within one another is crucial for web page structure. We utilize this method to express significance about content and user interfaces in a clear manner. Where does that paragraph begin on the page? Where does it conclude in the layout? One of the simplest errors in HTML is neglecting to include the closing tag at an element's end. So, always remember to add the closing tag properly.